you for having me, first of all. It's been a pleasure being here. So actually a really interesting panel. So I was on the panel, and it was adjudicated by a chap called Tariq, and he covered various aspects around, well, the title was kind of, digital or die. And really, I think it focused on the cultural dimensions that banks and institutions need to take around agility, around kind of being more customer focused. So my perspective and a question that he kind of put to me was, what are you as an organization doing around delivering in weeks rather than months, right? Which is a very real kind of need or demand being put on kind of innovation teams and technology teams, et cetera, in banks. So my take on that was that, yeah, you've got some foundational aspects around, kind of building self-contained teams that are empowered to go and build stuff and have a DevOps pipeline, et cetera. But really the more interesting aspect to that question is how quickly as an organization do you know that you're answering genuine problems and answering them with a viable solution, right? So testing whether you are actually addressing a real need, and secondly, is what you're proposing fit for purpose, right? So how quickly as an organization you can address those two issues is actually more important, I think, than building quickly for building quickly sake, right? If that makes sense. And so one of the examples that I made in the presentation was around corporate KYC. So I work in the corporate investment banking space, and there corporates have to go do their renewal of Know Your Customer kind of regulatory work on an annual basis, and it's pulling lots of documentation together, shareholder documentation, answering lots of questions, and it's a laborious and quite friction-full process, right? So quite a painful process. So, we thought and we worked with our relationship managers around this is probably a real problem to address. And what are, our relationships managers put themselves in the shoes of our customers and said, if we could not bother asking for stuff that we already know, if we could add more self-service elements to the journey, put it on a portal where customers can access it directly, and I think we'd be addressing some of the challenges. So we quickly put a prototype together and called in customers, about 20 corporate customers, had a round table with them and said, look, we believe that corporate KYC renewal is a painful process. Is a valid hypothesis? Tick, yes it is, right? We believe giving you a customer portal that allows you to do this and for us to not ask for things on a repeated basis is probably something that would be of use. And they said, yes, it certainly would, right? So, and actually, regionally, we haven't come across a bank that's doing that yet, so great. Now, so we went away, built something very quickly, and kind of brought it out, and they said, this is answering a genuine need, and it looks great, but the account signatory who you've got here kind of accessing the platform and doing it is almost always not the person doing KYC in the business, right? So and it's very intuitive when you think about it, right? But actually banks don't necessarily take intuitive steps. So we said, okay, very good. That's a really, really interesting learning point for us. And it's often not just one person kind of who's responsible, but multiple teams, legal, finance, et cetera, who have to work on this simultaneously. So we went back to the drawing board, built a new journey that incorporates multiple teams being able to work on the portal simultaneously to do that renewal. Took a prototype, took it back to the customers, and they said, wow, this is exactly what we need. Right, so actually getting out of the building, right? So there's an entrepreneurship professor at Stanford, Steve Blank, who coined this term, get out of the building, right? So any hypothesis or assumption you have around how good your solution is just an assumption until you get it out of the building and test it and really ask people on the front line whether what you think is their problem, and whether what you think is the solution is actually fit for purpose. So that was one of the kind of the big ticket kind of takeaways for me. Congratulations to the MEBIS guys. I think it's been really well managed and actually really impressive kind of lineup of speakers and really interesting topics. But I mean, really well socially distanced, obviously, as you would expect, and it's very pleasant. Thank you very much.